right. I never thought I was going to make a video on this topic, or rather, a podcast review. I think this is the first time I'm actually doing it. And you'll be surprised, out of all the things on the planet, from marketing to business to personal branding, I am going to give my thoughts about Chris Williamson's podcast, which was one day ago. It's having a discussion with Bonnie Blue and Louise Perry. Okay. Now, for those of you living under a rock and do not know who is Bonnie Blue is the adult porn star who has tried to push the envelope for notoriety or fame, whatever you can call it. The most despicable thing that she did was have sex with 1,000 men in 12 hours. And that is her call to fame. And she seems to be very comfortable with it. She seems to be very happy about it. Okay. She doesn't seem to be ashamed. Now, I'm not a big fan of hers. Neither do I like what she's doing. But then again, who the hell cares what I think? Okay. Now, what is the reason I listened to this podcast, and why am I giving you the review? It is because I get a lot of young men and young women, more of young men, you could say literally almost 90-95%, who try to take my advice on women. And me being an ex-playboy, a guy who had his fair share of, girlfriends or whatever, I have been very keen to understand how the mind of women work. Okay. And I can tell you one thing for a fact, with the way social media has developed, smartphones, the internet, today women, from what they were, how they used to think, it has changed so drastically, so dramatically, and so extreme. It is very hard to categorize them into a category. In fact, there are some podcasts like Whatever. I just found out there was a podcast like that. I used to always see two guys surrounded by a lot of these females wearing the most skimpiest, shocking outfits. And they would literally talk about sex and, all the taboo subjects very casually. Like they would say, oh, I use my two fingers for this, or I go to this, or I have a sugar daddy, or I have OnlyFans and I'm a content creator. And like, there is absolutely no shame. And in this one, Bonnie Blue's Chris Williamson's podcast, he asks very few questions and he allows these two ladies to speak. Now, Louise Perry, not Louise. Okay, she's a journalist, very articulate, very smart lady, and I think she also shares a lot of content and thought-provoking stuff in relation to women and empowerment. She's a British journalist, and I have not done research about her, but I think she speaks on women and relationships. She has a Wikipedia page. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, what is this? British journalist, podcast host. She's a writer for Daily Mail. Oh, okay. And very educated, and she is opposed to pornography, sex work. So good. So she is on the good side of feminism. Okay. But now you have Bonnie Blue, who is just the stark opposite. For her, she believes feminism is having sex crazy. In fact, I'll tell you, Bonnie Blue, very openly, she says in a podcast that she's planning to go to, I think, Australia or somewhere, where she's inviting 18-year-old young boys, whatever, to have a good time with her, to break their virginity or whatever. And she's not ashamed about it. Now, for those of you who will be shocked, hey, how she can do this? Well, if girls, there are a lot of men, although people don't speak this openly because it's a taboo subject, a lot of men who target, girls who are young in colleges. Bonnie Blue is one of those rare, very rare females who openly says and states what she wants. Okay. Now, let me give you the analysis without, judging her as bad or good. Okay, this is her life. She can do whatever the hell she wants. Do I endorse it? Absolutely not. Do I recommend it? No way. Whether it's for a guy or whether it's for a girl, I don't think it's empowering. And I'm not one of those guys who believes in the Andrew Tate philosophy. Guys can do this. Guys can sleep with 1,000 women. Women cannot sleep. The biology is different. And I believe in a relationship, at least, if I'm expecting my partner to be loyal and faithful to me, I have to be loyal and faithful to her. That kind of a decision takes time. Because remember, this is my fourth marriage. See, I'm being very transparent with my flaws as well. Before you throw the first stone, You should not stay in a glass house, or like they say, no, don't talk about the speck in your brother's eye until you talk about the log of wood in your own. So I have had multiple partners. I cheated on almost all my wives, as you could say. But the day I decided to marry her and have a family, I decided I need to stop all this jumblux. Okay. So there are still lots of men who still are married and have fun. It's your life. Do what you want. I'm not saying you're bad. I'm not saying you're good. And when I do get clients who speak to me, hey, Loy, I'm sleeping around with other females. Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's good? They always ask me this question. They always want to know my opinion. And on a case by case basis, I tell them what needs to be told. But I don't, whitewash and say, no, it's perfectly fine. Yeah, I don't kiss ass. Okay. That's why I'm not giving you the standard answer. So let's focus on this. What I've realized is we are entering a generation, rather, we have already entered into a generation whereby you get people like Andrew Tate, you get people like her, you get people, influencers, whatever you want to call them, where they'll give you real world problems. Like they'll say, men are cheating on their wives, women are cheating on their husbands, women are using men for money, men are using women for sex. Like these are real world problems, okay? So you get people like Andrew Tate, you get people like Bonnie Blue, they will speak to you about real world problems. And you will definitely say, yeah, you're absolutely right. Nowadays, there is no loyalty, there's no faithfulness. Men are cheating on their partners, women are cheating on their partners. Men are, pedophilia is a reality, transgender. So they speak on real world issues, okay? Everyone and anyone can speak about this. Even a pedophile, even a criminal, even a dictator can say life is beautiful, God is great. There are so many poor people who don't have food to eat, don't waste food. So these generic statements of real world problems, anybody can say. I can say it, you can say it, everyone can say it. But now here's where it gets dicey. Bonnie Blue is talking about men cheating on their wives, women cheating on their husbands, and so then she inserts her philosophy of life. Like Andrew Tate says about men cheating on women, women cheating on men, and then he inserts his philosophy. That's why I have multiple partners, I sleep with them and I keep them in their place, and they don't work and they should not have a right to vote, and bitches should be taught a lesson. And he will give you a big lecture about women today have no shame, they are going to OnlyFans and showing their body parts, when he himself was running a sex webcam business. You see the hypocrisy. He was running a webcam business, but he criticizes women for doing a webcam business. Okay. So in the same way, Bonnie Blue, she sounds very articulate. Oh, men are cheating on women, women are cheating on men. And then she inserts, yeah, I'll be going to Australia where I'll be inviting all college students, 18-year-olds, to have sex with me. They're welcome. I'm hoping that to break another record of 1,000, 2,000 men. So you listen to it and you think, okay, she has told me real world problems. So is it okay for her to do this? And she's very cool. She's very cool, calm, composed, casual about it. We have reached a stage in society, humanity, where today podcasts, they openly talk about sex, masturbation, pleasuring yourself, twosome, threesome, foursome, porta parties. I even saw some of the Instagram and TikTok videos. But this female is, I mean, she's hidden her face, and she's talking to the channel, the owner of the channel, and saying, "Yeah, I went to the porta party in Dubai, and they did this on my face. They made me eat this, eat that, drink this, and they abused me. But I did it for my mother. I did it for my father. I did it for our future. And today, after doing it for 1 year, today we are all settled down." So that is her justification for it. So the question is it okay? Because you had a mother, father to take care of, because you wanted no loans, because you wanted them to have a good life. So you did all this. It's like someone committed a murder and nobody knew about it. And he did it because he wanted to give his children a good life. Or someone who is into, let's say, the sex trade, forcing young children to get into it, or they kidnap them. And his justification is because my poor children, I didn't want them to suffer. So you get what I'm saying. People give all sorts of reasons to justify what they're doing. I know you can even point fingers at me and say, yeah, Loy, today you're talking all big, on your high horse that you're a good guy. How many girls' lives you spoiled and all that. FYI, I didn't spoil any girl's life. I never forced any girl. They knew that I was a playboy and they came willingly. Okay. Just so that you know, I never promised a girl marriage. I never told her, if you sleep with me, I will marry you. Or the only girl who I promised that was when I was in my 20s. That was my first serious relationship, and like an idiot, I believed she was meant for me, and we are meant to get married and have children together. You know, when you're 20s, you're an idiot. I was one. Okay. So overall, the question is: this 2 hour 13 minutes video, is it worth listening to? Yes and no. Yes, only if you are like me, who likes to read in between the lines, understand people, who's dealing with people, who has to translate the mind process, the biases or the behaviors of individuals. Because remember, people pay me money to analyze them. So if it is something like that, fine. If it is out of curiosity, I would say go right ahead and listen to it. Would it add any value? No, it is absolutely zero. It is like listening to Andrew Tate yap and fart and give you all the shitty nonsense about being an alpha male and going to the gym and this and that. And then after that, he tells you, subscribe, pay $49, join my university, buy my meme coin if you're a man, and blah, 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 blah. He'll give, but he'll do just the opposite. Okay. Would it add any value to your life? Zero. Would it make you respect Bonnie Blue? Absolutely not. In fact, I was even more disgusted after listening to her. Yeah, they keep showering her with compliments that, oh, you're so smart. I didn't think you're like this. You can be the nicest person, but your actions speak louder than words. So she doesn't come from a poor family. She doesn't come from someone who's needy, but she enjoys her life. Like I always tell people, by the way, she wants to have a kid. She wants to have children. She wants to have a family. See, right now she's young, so she will say, no, I'll never have regrets. I'm living life to the fullest. But yahi, habibi, like they say in Arabic, no? Give it time. Today I'm nearly going to be 50. I thought when in my 20s, nothing is going to happen. I'm invincible. Well, everything has a price to pay. And your past doesn't let go of you that easy. Tomorrow, when she has a son or daughter, she claims that she's doing it for giving them a good life. Let them grow a little bit big, and when they have an argument, they will say what they have to say, and then she'll have to hear it. I'll just conclude by telling you this, for those of you who like to justify what she's doing. Google search all the porn stars or all the females who have been in this industry who try to break records. You'll see none of them are easily available online. In fact, unless they are still into the business of making money, all of them invisible online. Ask yourself why. Anyway, thought I'd give you this review that nobody asked for. Let me know your thoughts. And by the way, I listened to it at 1.5x speed. I tried listening to it 2x speed. It just went off my head when I was doing all my other stuff. 1.5x speed is good enough if you want to listen. What do I rate the podcast out of 10? 1 out of 10. It's it's a waste of time, but like I said, I wanted to understand how these females think. But I can tell you, all of them were being very diplomatically and politically correct. They wouldn't reveal their true feelings, because end of the day, if you tell the truth, it can be blunt sometimes. Anyway, good, bad, ugly, feel free. Comment down below. This is me signing off. Yalla, bye.